My wife cheated with an influencer and abandoned our 1-year-old son to be famous, but when I inherited $2.8 million, her life imploded and now she's begging back. But karma already destroyed her completely. I'm 35 years old. I'm a doctor at a general hospital, and the story I'm about to tell still seems surreal when I think about it. Like, did all this really happen, or is it a bad revenge movie? But it did happen, and honestly, I need to get it off my chest because there are people who ask me how I'm so calm after everything, and the truth is that karma took care of things better than I ever could have. I guess I should start from the beginning. When I met Ashley like 8 years ago, she worked as a nurse at the same hospital. She was pretty, funny, and seemed to have her head on straight, you know? Or at least that's what I thought at the time, because it turns out you never really know someone until things get tough. We got married after 2 years of dating. It was a simple wedding. Nothing flashy because neither of us came from families with a lot of money. My family was normal middle class. My dad worked in construction and my mom was a teacher, and Ashley's family was similar. Her dad had a mechanic shop and her mom was a homemaker. Everything was fine at first. I mean, we had the normal problems of any young couple, arguments about who washes the dishes or about how much time we spent with our respective families, but nothing serious. Nothing that made me think things were going to explode the way they exploded. When she got pregnant with Daniel, it was a surprise. We weren't actively planning it, but we weren't avoiding it either, and we were both happy. I was excited about the idea of being a dad, even though I was also terrified because, well, it's normal to be terrified when you're going to have a child, right? Daniel was born, and the first few months were tough. Like for any couple with a newborn baby, I worked long shifts at the hospital and came home exhausted. Ashley was on maternity leave and also exhausted because the baby wasn't sleeping well. And looking back, I think it was during those months when things started to change. But at the time, I was so caught up in the routine of working, sleeping little, changing diapers, that I didn't notice the signs. Ashley started spending a lot of time on her phone, like obsessively. And when I asked her what she was doing, she said she was in mom groups on Facebook or watching baby videos on Instagram. And I believed her because, why wouldn't I believe her? We were husband and wife. We had a son together. It never crossed my mind that something else could be going on. When Daniel was about a year old, Ashley went back to work part-time at the hospital, and I noticed she was different, more put together, more worried about her appearance. She started going to the gym religiously and buying new clothes, and I thought it was good that she was recovering her self-esteem after pregnancy and all that. I even encouraged her, told her she looked good and that I was glad she was taking care of herself. What an idiot I was, honestly. She also started talking a lot about social media, about becoming an influencer, about how there were people who made money on Instagram just by posting photos of their lives. And I told her, yeah, go ahead. If she wanted to try it, that was fine. I never thought it was something serious. I thought it was just a hobby. Turns out during all that time, like 6 or 7 months, Ashley was having an affair with a guy named Nathan, an influencer, one of those with like 200,000 followers on Instagram, one of those who posts photos at the gym, showing his muscles and making motivational videos that don't really say anything. You know the type. I have no idea exactly how they met. I think he also went to the same gym as her. But the details don't matter as much as what happened next. One night I came home from the hospital after a 12-hour shift. I was literally dead tired, and Ashley was sitting in the living room with a face I had never seen on her, like serious and determined, and she told me we needed to talk. My first thought was that something had happened to Daniel, but he was asleep in his room. So I sat down and she just dropped the bomb. She told me, I've been seeing someone else for the past few months. I fell in love with him. I want a divorce, and I already talked to a lawyer and I have the papers ready. Can you believe it? She didn't even have the decency to give me time to process the information. She already had everything planned. The divorce papers ready. She had probably been planning this moment for weeks. I just sat there in absolute shock. I couldn't even speak. I felt like someone had hit me in the stomach with a baseball bat, and she kept talking, saying it wasn't my fault, that we had just grown in different directions, all those cliches people say when they're trying to justify something unjustifiable. I asked her about Daniel, about our 1-year-old son who was sleeping 10 meters away from us, and she said, with a coldness that still gives me chills to remember, that she didn't want custody, that I could keep him because Nathan and she were going to start a new life together, and a baby didn't fit into their plans at that time. She literally told me our son didn't fit into her plans, like Daniel was a piece of furniture she didn't like anymore. The divorce process was surprisingly quick because Ashley didn't want anything. Not the house, not money, not shared custody, nothing. She just wanted to be officially divorced as soon as possible. I guess so she could live her influencer life with her muscular boyfriend without the burden of a husband and son. I hired a lawyer anyway because I couldn't believe it was that simple. I thought it was some kind of trap, but no. She signed everything, formally relinquished any claim to Daniel, and in about 3 months, we were officially divorced. During that time, she moved in with Nathan, started posting photos of the two of them together on Instagram with captions about true love and soulmates and all that garbage, and I was left alone raising Daniel, working my shifts at the hospital, paying a babysitter for when I couldn't be there. Basically emotionally destroyed, but functioning on autopilot because I had to do it for my son. A few months after the divorce, like 4 months maybe, Ashley started posting photos of her baby bump, announcing she was pregnant, and all her followers, she had gotten like 50,000 by then, were congratulating her, and Nathan was posting photos of the two of them with captions about how he was going to be the best dad in the world. And I could only think about how ironic it was. She had abandoned one child to immediately get pregnant with another. But well, it wasn't my problem. I was busy with Daniel and trying to rebuild my life. My parents helped me a lot. My mom would come take care of Daniel when I had night shifts. And honestly, I don't know what I would have done without them. My dad would tell me that Ashley was trash and that I deserved better. And my mom would just hug me and tell me everything was going to be okay. That Daniel and I were going to be okay. Then something happened that changed everything. And when I say everything, I mean everything. Turns out I had an aunt, Harriet, my dad's older sister, who I wasn't super close with, but we saw each other at Christmas and birthdays and stuff. She never married, never had kids, and her whole life she dedicated to working. She had a real estate business that apparently had done very well. But she lived modestly, so nobody in the family really knew how much money she had. Harriet died of a sudden heart attack. She was like 68 years old, and when they read the will, it turns out she had left everything to me. Her house, her real estate business, her bank accounts, investments, everything. In total, like $2.8 million, almost $3 million. To me. Because according to the will, I was the only one in the family who had done something with my life, who had become a doctor. And she wanted her money to go to someone who would value it and use it well. I couldn't believe it. I literally thought it was a joke when the estate lawyer called me. Like, how is it possible that I suddenly have almost $3 million? But it was real. It was all real. And after the initial shock, I started making plans. I hired someone to manage the real estate business because I didn't have time or experience for that. I invested a good part of the money, paid off all my debts, including what was left of the mortgage on the house, and basically secured Daniel's and my financial future. I didn't tell anyone outside my immediate family because I didn't want to deal with people coming out of nowhere asking for money or trying to take advantage. I just kept living my normal life, working at the hospital, taking care of Daniel, now 2 years old, without ostentation or anything. The only difference was that I no longer stressed about bills. About 2 months after I received the inheritance, guess who showed up at my door? Ashley, with a belly of like 8 months, rang the doorbell on a Saturday afternoon, and when I opened the door, I couldn't believe what I was seeing. She looked horrible. Dark circles under her eyes, disheveled hair, nothing like the perfectly edited photos she posted on Instagram, and she told me she needed to talk to me urgently. I let her in more than anything because I was so surprised I didn't know what else to do. And she sat down on the same couch where she had asked me for a divorce like a year and a half earlier and started crying. And I was just standing there thinking, what the hell is happening? Turns out Nathan and she had broken up, or rather, were about to break up. She didn't give me all the details at first, but basically she told me he wasn't ready to be a father, that they were fighting a lot, and that she needed my help. My help? I asked her what kind of help exactly, and she, with all the nerve in the world, asked me if, when the baby was born, if I could say it, was mine, put it on my birth certificate as the father, so the child would have health insurance through my work and so she could have financial support. I stared at her like she had grown a second head. Like, are you seriously asking me this after having left me, abandoned your son, and ruined my life barely a year and a half ago? And she kept crying, saying she had no one else, that Nathan was going to leave her, that her parents were angry with her, that I was her only option, and she needed me to help her for old time's sake. I threw her out of my house, literally told her to leave and never ask me for anything again, that she had abandoned her son without thinking twice, and now she wanted me to take care of her new baby too. And that was never going to happen. And she left crying and screaming that I was selfish and had no heart. After she left, I was shaking with rage. I couldn't believe the audacity, the nerve of this woman. But then I started thinking, and I realized something. If she was asking me to claim the baby as mine, it meant things with Nathan were worse than she was admitting. So, I did something I probably shouldn't have done. But honestly, I don't regret it. I looked up Nathan's Instagram profile, found his email that was in his bio because he used his account to promote products and services, and I sent him an email telling him exactly what Ashley had asked me. I explained the whole situation, how she had shown up at my house, what she had asked me, and that I thought he had a right to know that the mother of his child was trying to manipulate the situation for her benefit. I sent him screenshots of messages Ashley had sent me after I threw her out of my house, where she begged me to reconsider and told me that Nathan didn't have money, and that's why she needed me to help her. Nathan replied the next day, thanked me for telling him, told me he had suspected something weird was going on because Ashley had been very insistent that he didn't need to be on the baby's birth certificate, that she would take care of everything, and now he understood why. Apparently, Nathan and Ashley had an epic fight after that. She had lied to him about many things, not just about the birth certificate thing, also about how much money she had saved, about her work plans. Basically, she had built an entire fantasy of what their life together was going to be like, and none of it was real. Nathan broke off the engagement. Yes, they were engaged. She had never mentioned it to me, and told her to leave the apartment they shared, that he would take care of the baby financially because it was his responsibility, but he didn't want anything else with her. Ashley showed up at my house again, this time with a lawyer, wanting to formally relinquish custody of Daniel completely, without visitation rights, without anything, because Nathan had told her he didn't want his son growing up near someone who had abandoned another child, so she was basically cutting ties with Daniel completely to be able to maintain any possibility of a relationship with Nathan, although, honestly, I think it was already too late for that. I signed the papers with the lawyer present. Ashley didn't even look me in the eyes. She signed everything mechanically and left, and that was the last time I saw her in person for a long time. The baby was born like a month later. Nathan got a paternity test immediately, confirmed it was his son. And according to what I could see on social media, because yes, I was stalking the situation a bit, Ashley kept trying to fix things with him, posting photos of the baby with captions about family and love, but Nathan never appeared in her photos, never commented, nothing. It was clear he wanted to keep his distance. What happened next was like watching a train derail in slow motion. Ashley's influencer career started to collapse because people on the internet are relentless when they smell drama. Some of her followers started asking questions. Where is your other child? Why do you never talk about him? What happened to your ex-husband? And Ashley tried to dodge the questions or delete comments, but that only made people investigate more. And eventually someone, I don't know who, started exposing everything. Screenshots of conversations, old photos, testimonies from people who knew her. Basically, a scandal broke out in her small Instagram world. Her numbers started dropping. She lost sponsors, lost followers, and the last thing I saw before she deleted her account completely was that she had like 12,000 followers, all basically there to watch the disaster. She moved back in with her parents, who, according to what my mom told me, who still talked to Ashley's mom occasionally, were furious with her. They had told her she could stay with them temporarily, but she had to get a job and contribute or else she would have to leave, and Ashley was apparently working at a supermarket or something. Nothing glamorous, nothing like what she thought her life would be. Nathan was raising his son. He had shared custody according to the legal agreement, but Ashley almost never went to her scheduled visits, and eventually, Nathan filed documents to obtain full custody too. Basically, Ashley had lost 2 children in the process of chasing a fantasy of perfect Instagram life that never existed. I, meanwhile, was focused on Daniel, who is now like 3.5 years old. He's an incredible kid. Smart, happy, doesn't remember anything about his mom, which is probably for the best. When he asks me about her, I tell him she can't be with us, but that he has grandpa and grandma who love him very much, and me who loves him more than anything in the world, and so far that's been enough for him. With the money from the inheritance, I bought a bigger house, with a yard, in a good neighborhood, near a good school. I hired a full-time nanny who's a super sweet older lady that Daniel adores, and basically, I did the best I could to give my son a stable and happy life. About 2 months ago, guess who called me? Ashley, from a number I didn't recognize. I answered, thinking it was from the hospital. And it was her. With that sweet and manipulative voice she had clearly been practicing, she told me she had been thinking a lot, that she had matured, that she realized the mistakes she had made, and that she wanted to know if maybe, just maybe, we could try to reconcile, that she still loved me and wanted to be a family again with Daniel and me. I stayed quiet for a few seconds, processing what I had just heard, and then I just laughed. I laughed so hard my stomach hurt, and I told her, "Ashley, not in a million years." And I hung up. I blocked the number, blocked all the numbers that could be hers, and moved on with my life, which honestly is good now. I work at the hospital, spend time with Daniel, occasionally go out with friends, and I'm at peace. Aunt Harriet's money obviously helped a lot, but more than that, I think I finally understood that karma exists. Ashley left her family chasing something superficial and empty, and ended up losing everything. Her influencer career, her 2 children, her relationship with Nathan, her dignity, everything. While I, who just tried to do the right thing and take care of my son, ended up better than I could have imagined. I'm not going to lie and say I don't have difficult days. Being a single dad is hard. There are nights when Daniel is sick and I'm exhausted from work and I just want to cry from frustration. But then I see him asleep in his little bed, calm and safe, and I know it's all worth it. Last week, Daniel asked me if we could adopt a puppy. He looked at me with those huge eyes he has and told me, "Daddy, he would be my best friend." And I told him we'd think about it, maybe for his birthday, and he got so happy he started jumping on the couch planning what the dog's name would be and what games they would play together. Those are the moments that remind, to me, why everything that happened with Ashley, all the pain and betrayal and drama, in the end doesn't matter, because I have this incredible kid who needs me and who I love more than anything, and that's enough, more than enough, it's everything.